This project started 2008. My dream was to see one day the kora music and mundane music in classical way, with the orchestra. When I start to play the kora, and I wanted to open a new door for the kora in the world. So this is a very special thing that I made, and I'm very proud of it.
I first met Toumani in Manchester at the Royal Northern College of Music. Toumani was doing a solo tour. I think it was May 2008.
I went with my band to play in the concert in Manchester, and Clark was there.
I was not familiar even with the music of the kora.
I wanted to do this project with him, and I started to explain to him about my music, about mundane music, about the kora music.
What he does with that kora was magical, and I was completely captivated in this performance in Manchester.
I was very curious to see how things is going to happen, because I know, listen to classical music sometimes, like Beethoven, Mozart, and Bach.
I was sent to sort of initially meet Toumani to begin to talk about the projects, to begin to discuss repertoire, how we might create the various arrangements, because there was nothing, of course. And this was all music that was never written down. It was all just played by the guys, learned by ear in the great tradition of so many. So I went backstage afterwards, very humbly introduced myself and said, should we talk now about repertoire? I said, well, first of all, we have to play at least one new tune. I have it in my head right now. Toumani just sat down back on stage in front of around his beautiful instrument, his beautiful kora, and played what we then was then called for quite some time Manchester Tune. It has a new name now.
After the show, and I record this song called Mady Town. Mady Town is the beginning of one of the way of the Islam cool. The arrangement is very sweet, and we start the concert with that. It's the first song in the concert, so make a very sweet, very, 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 very calm.
We then decided on a number of other repertoire, all of which you hear, fantastic, from Ellen Road to, all the titles were there. And we farmed out the arrangements to two great arrangers, Ian Gardiner, a wonderful British composer, and the great American composer, Nico Muhly.
I was originally brought into the project by Clark Rundell, the conductor. Clark and I had worked together on a number of projects which combined orchestral musicians with musicians from another genre or from a different tradition.
I wanted to have two different arrangements. One younger arranger and the old one.
So the main challenge for me was to figure out, am I floating above the kora? Am I weaving in between? Am I creating a bed underneath? And what I settled on was a kind of combination approach where things go in and out of focus, and sometimes basically the lights come up in the orchestra a bit, and sometimes they reduce down, and sometimes there's just kind of a flute and a marimba, and other times all the strings. So it really was a question of tension between how present I was going to be.
The first time I heard the arrangements was at the first rehearsal, which was in Liverpool, because the first performance was with the redoubtable Royal Liverpool Philharmonic Orchestra.
So Toumani came with his musicians, and we thankfully had a good amount of rehearsal before the day of the performance to really refine the arrangements. For Toumani to say, no, I think this goes on a little bit, or let's repeat this and let us have a guitar solo. Oh no, we might get someone to sing here, and that was the very point of the singing was absolutely amazing. And then that really refined the way we played these arrangements.
We get a start this project in Liverpool with a Liverpool Orchestra, and then we moved to London also, play with a London Symphony, and we had a few concerts in Oslo, Norway, and at the Cartagena Festival in Spain with the orchestra from Murcia.
The London Symphony Orchestra performance was a typical London affair. You've got the most fantastic musicians imaginable and not a lot of time. So we literally had the day of the performance on the stage of the Barbican. Thankfully, the material was in good shape because we'd corrected absolutely any anomalies that existed when we were in Liverpool. And here you hear the results of that with Toumani and his wonderful players and the great players of the LSO.
They start the rehearsal, and I come with the band the same day of the concert, and we have only like a 1 hour rehearsal on stage, and then we go to the concert. So it's like that. No time to rehearsal together. Just 1 hour. We don't read. We just come together and play.
It was extraordinary to get the email from Nick Gold at World Circuit in the middle of lockdown of COVID saying that he wanted to finally release this music, to revisit this project. I have to admit, I found it quite emotional listening to it. It's unbelievably beautiful music. It's music that speaks really straight to the soul. There's something about what Toumani does is sort of heaven sent almost. It's almost like he's just a vessel. It just comes out of him.
I mean, this Kôrôlén is a satisfaction, is to show today that this music we're playing is not only for today, but it could be, it comes from a longer way for many centuries. So it's great for the people to know that today, because Kôrôlén is the first kora with the orchestra, I mean, in live recording.